Hey there, Chris here. Today we're reviewing a very popular shoe, the Nike Air Max 270. This video should cover everything you need to know about the shoe, and as always, feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get to the meat and potatoes. This shoe does fit really snug. I got my pair in a size 9, which is my normal true to size fit, but I must say this is a really tight fit. And I have a relatively narrow foot. I'm really not joking when I say this, like it's thick. I actually feel like the most kind of squeezing or tight sensation right around where the arch is and a little bit around the toe box, but it's nothing bad around the toe box. So if you have a wide foot or you just don't like a tight fit, then go a half size up, and that's actually what the Nike website recommends as well. I actually did a full workout in these and forgot to lace them up at all. They were glued to my feet, and at this size 9 I don't have almost any foot movement as far as going back and forth, which for me is a good thing. I'm holding it like I'm about to. And what's usually a pro for most people is that this shoe is going to give you about an inch or an inch and a half of height, but it feels like more than that when you put the shoe on. I don't know why, but it feels like you just whoop. Outside of the tight fit, the rest of the shoe really is super comfortable. The heel has a lot of support, and that's largely due to the air unit here. I mean it's huge. Look, that's what she said. The insole is nice and comfy. It's a little bit firm, but it's absorbent enough to where, you know, it kind of molds to your foot a little bit over time. That's pretty much what you want out of this type of shoe, especially. The Achilles is actually entirely foam, and from what I can tell, there's no actual stiffener in it. There is this little bit of support behind it, but I wouldn't really count that as a stiffener. One thing that's honestly really cool about this shoe is that you can feel the compression of the air unit as you're walking. It feels a little weird at first, but you get used to it really fast. And when I say really fast, I mean like 5-10 minutes. The sole, outside of being very bright pink in the middle, is actually two separate units. The foam is actually a completely separate piece from the air unit. It's not connected at any point from what I can tell. And that's right where your arch is, so you might get a little bit more leeway in the shoe itself from when you're running, jumping, whatever, walking, I don't know, whatever you do in your spare time. And since we're on the subject of the sole, you actually don't have to worry about breaking this thing in because it is just foam and the air unit. What you do have to worry about breaking in, to me personally, is the mesh itself, because it is very compressed and it's a dual layer mesh, so you're gonna have to stretch it out a little bit and, you know, kind of get it to move a little bit more over some time. I think depending on how much you wear the shoe, it's probably gonna take up to 2 weeks. I mean, if you're wearing it every day, probably by the end of the week it should be nice and kind of worn in. Don't mind if I just slide on in here real quick. Now let's talk about the price. Now this basic black and white colorway retails for $160 coming directly from the Nike website, which compared to similar shoes like the ZX2Ks, the NMDR ones, the Noble Knit Runners, etc., that is around the same price. You'll find those shoes from $130 to $160, somewhere in there. Now you can buy these on secondary markets like GOAT, StockX, yada yada yada, and at first glance it looks like they're cheaper, but most of the time after processing, taxes, and shipping fees and all that other stuff, it comes out to about the same price, sometimes even more. And on top of that, usually you have to bid or finagle a price a little bit. So most of the time, if you see them for like $120 in the store anywhere, I would say go ahead and just buy them right then and there, because that's a deal. I did get mine from StockX, and that's because right now they're out of season. These are available year-round online, but they come and go in stores, and usually around springtime is when you'll start to see them in stores again. But expect to sometimes pay a premium because they are more in demand around that time. So if you can snag them in the off season, that might be your best bet. For the final purchase price on mine was $108, and like I said, after taxes and everything, it was like $143. So almost retail, but you know, a deal's a deal. Let me grab a pillow. I got to. Now, before you go, there are some things that you need to know. If you're thinking about purchasing these as a workout shoe, these are a great workout shoe, as long as you're not doing like any crazy serious lifting, mainly squats and stuff in these, because these are not made for those, but all around like agility training, hit and stuff like that, you're gonna be fine. If you're like a marathon runner or something like that, go get you some real running shoes. What are you doing here? Remember how I said there's like this dual layer of mesh on them? There's a like honeycomb shape on the first layer, and then it's regular mesh on the second layer. That means these are going to be extremely hard to clean, at least by scrubbing them and stuff like that. You're probably going to do more harm than good trying to scrub these out. So the thing is, you're just going to have to be comfortable with throwing these in the washing machine. That's really going to be the only way you can clean these. I mean, maybe you can take a pressure washer to them or something like that. I don't know if I would do that. I probably wouldn't do that. I don't do that. These are great for the athleisure look, loungewear look, tech wear if you're into that, and like the casual, maybe if you dress like someone's soccer dad, and just people who dress in more slimmer silhouettes overall. It's just easier to style them with a slimmer silhouette because the shoe itself is really slim. I'm gonna start giving the shoes a rating system of some sort. I don't know how it's gonna work yet, but kind of like Doug DeMuro does a Doug score. This is the Air Max 270. If you have any questions or you want to see a particular pair of shoes or even clothing items on the channel, let me know in the comments below, or if you just have any other questions, you know,